Here we go. Hey, everybody. Always Booking Comedy. It's Monday night. It's 6:30 in Denver, 5:30 where I am. Dayna, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Dayna, you're based at, remind me?
I'm based out of Denver as well.
Denver. Did you used to be in Boulder, maybe?
I was never in Boulder. I lived in
Yeah.
LA before Denver. So
Oh, did you do
I was,
comedy there?
no,
Okay.
way before my comedy days. So
Okay. I just tried to update your name. Did I case it correctly?
you did. Looks good.
Did. Okay, cool. All right. So you're Denver based. Rad. I miss Denver. How's Denver doing these days? Is it hot?
It's pretty good. It's pretty hot. There's always
Yeah.
comedians coming in and out, and a lot of
Yeah.
people are doing some pretty exciting stuff. So it's a
Yeah.
cool scene.
How long ago did you start comedy?
I started at the beginning of 2020, which was not the best time to start.
Okay.
And then everything shut down 3 months later, and then I
Okay.
started back up about a year later.
Huh.
So I like to say, like, probably about 3 years I've been going.
Okay. Right on. And what got you into it?
I really just needed a hobby because, when you get older, you start to lose your friends. You're like, what should I do with my extra time? And I took a class and it was really fun. And I was like, oh, I can do this. I was always a little bit intimidated about the idea of going to open mics. But
Okay.
once you go to open mics and you see the level of quality variation, then you're like, oh, okay, this isn't that big
I
of a
tell
deal.
that to everybody. I did a show the other night. A guy bought a book from me. He was like, I want to get started in comedy. I'm like, just go do it, man.
Yeah,
Just like go watch a couple mics. You'll see people that you're going to think you can be better than. You might not be, but you'll think you're better than them.
you
And
will. You'll have that thing like, oh, I could do that because that
mhm.
person didn't do a great job. I could also not do a great job. Yeah, I thought that maybe I wouldn't be able to handle bombing, but it turns out that's not a big deal at all.
You're a quick study at that.
Yeah,
Most people
I was
are, or
like,
they
oh,
quit, right? They quit or they figure that out pretty
yeah,
quickly.
yeah.
Um, can I just an aside? I was just drinking some water. I was in Malibu, California, like 5 days ago, and they had surf water, like a bottle of surf water. And just now, I was at Pal's Books in Portland, and they had rain water. It's
Oh
like called
gosh.
Richard's Rainwater. They had like six different. I'm like, rainwater, that's gross, right? Who wants to drink
Yeah,
that?
that
And
doesn't
surf
sound
water, nobody wants to drink that either. What is happening? I'm
yeah,
very confused.
they're like,
I
it
had to
tastes
pick.
like salt. It's really
That's
delicious.
what I was thinking. Is it like salty? Like is there acid in it? This is gross. This doesn't sound like a good idea. But
Yeah.
it was very fancy packaging. So I don't know. Anyways, okay, so you come to Denver, you're doing comedy. You run a show. By the way, Dayna, very funny, has done one of my shows, super funny, killed it. Um, Tell me a little bit about your show running experience. What was the first show you ever ran?
The first show was about a year in. It's the show I'm still doing. It's at Ohm Brewing, and it's just a monthly brewery show that I
Okay.
run with Janae Suplee, who's another comic I met out here on
Okay.
the scene.
Oh,
And
can I pause you for a second? The class you ran, anybody I know run it, perhaps?
the class I was in,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was at Rise Comedy. Christy Buckley
Christy,
teaches it.
the best. Christy's awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Right on.
it was really great, and she was a great teacher, and I got
Yeah,
a lot out of it.
she definitely knows comedy.
Yeah. And more importantly, I got that push to be able to do it. Like, I
Yeah,
felt like, "Oh, okay, I could do this." So, it was a great
right on.
experience.
Okay, so you got an own brewery show. How did you find that venue? And why did you think, oh, I'm gonna run a show?
Um, Really that venue kind of fell into my lap. One another comic, somebody had reached out to that comic to do it, and they weren't available to take on another show, and so they asked me and Janae if we wanted to do it, and
Nice.
we were both like, "Okay, it's time to level up. It's time to
Where,
do our own show." So
cool. Right on. Where is it in Denver?
it's in Applewood, Golden. So, like, I like to think of it as like Lakewood, Applewood, Golden.
Okay.
Technically, it's Golden, but it's
Okay.
not really Golden.
I'm a big fan of shows outside of Denver. I think it's very competitive in Denver,
Yeah,
difficult to draw, etc. How do you get decent audiences there?
we do. I feel like people sometimes trickle in as the show goes. It's a free show. So it is, it can be hit or miss, but a lot of times it's hit, you know, we'll get a
Nice.
full room eventually. And it's not the hugest space. So I think that helps. Like it feels full when you
How
get.
does the like sound, light, stage work? Is it a music venue sometimes? Do they have some of that stuff, or do you drag it in?
Oh no, we drag it in. Janae's husband built us a stage
Okay.
and we bought like equipment and
Nice.
have a little spotlight. So it's worked out really well though.
Cool. Awesome. Is it, do you find it's hard now? It's summer. Like last night, I was leaving a mic in Eugene, Oregon, and it was like 9:10 p.m. and it looked like it was 3 in the afternoon. It was so
Yeah.
bright out. Do you find that it's harder to get people to come listen to dick jokes when it's bright outside?
It does. Yeah, summer has that like I don't want to be in this space. Yeah, hearing
Yeah.
someone's 50th dick joke or whatever, but like it's kind of like it's a local hometown bar, so I feel like we get a lot of the same people and people know us now, and it can be summer months haven't been. Last month was really pretty good, and the month before that, so we'll see as the summer progresses.
What's something, so you've run that for a while now. What's something that was a challenge that you overcame at that particular show?
I feel like the challenge is always getting butts and seats. It's always like figuring out how to get people to come there. We figuring out our ad situation and how are we like setting up an email and how are we going to work that all out so that people come every week. Yeah. It's the consistency is really the biggest challenge I think of running that show. Um,
What
but
night of the week is it?
it's Thursday. It's the third Thursday of every month.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
You
It's a
get
nice.
regulars?
We do get regulars. We had one lady who used to come all the time, and she was like our biggest fan, and so that was exciting. And we got a lot of the bar regulars, but we see a lot of the same people, which is really fun
Nice. That's
because
cool. Does
they
that
do.
stress you out at all? Like, do you host the show?
I do. Janae and I take turns hosting, and I would say the problem with hosting for me is that I'm not really my funniest when I'm hosting, you
Yeah.
know, like because you spend so much time worrying about the logistics of everything that I spend a lot less time worrying about what I'm going to say on stage. That's like the
Yeah.
least of my concerns. So that is tough. I don't like that. Like I feel like when I'm the host, I'm the worst comic, but I also have big host energy. So,
That's
which is
good. That's good. And
annoying.
it's great practice. I mean, eventually, if, and I'm not even at this point, if you can kill at the host spot, then you are like undeniably funny. Because it
Yeah.
is the most, I mean, people are trickling in. There's,
Yeah.
the music's still playing, the ice machine is going, there's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff working against you.
I agree that the host spot always seems to me like the spot where you're just warming people up at the idea of laughing. And like, if I don't do as well in the host spot, I'm never that concerned, which I should be. And these are the things I should be concentrating on. But I'm always like, oh, well, I hosted. So what are you going to do?
Right.
But
Um, all right. So it's a free show. How do you have you found any tricks to getting people to come out to your show, your monthly at the brewery?
it's hard. I don't know if you've experienced this about like testing it out and seeing what works because we'll run the same amount of ads and try to figure out an ad system there.
How do
Um,
you, so does the bar give you some kind of budget?
they don't. We run our own ads. The bar gives us money, but
Yeah,
we,
right. That's what I meant.
yeah,
Uh, and
yeah,
then use that to pay comics and run
yeah.
ads, etc. Okay, cool.
It's a small bar though, so it's not the biggest budget in the world, but so we do. We run ads with the bar money and but it's like $30 a month or something.
Okay.
Nothing
Well, that's something.
amazing.
Do
Yeah.
you have you had any like exciting booking wins where you're like, I can't believe this person is doing this tiny show?
When we first started out, I feel like we had Derek Stroop on a couple times,
Oh, the best.
and
What a
he
killer.
he like took our sad little bar money and agreed to do it. And like it's been amazing to watch him, really
Was that
grow
before or
now
after he was on the Tonight Show?
before.
Okay.
So
All right.
we
Well,
haven't got
yeah,
him
it still
after.
counts. Count it.
Yeah,
You had a Tonight Show comic.
yeah, get him before. There also are some people who like come through that are just looking for a space, like Zach Toscani. I feel like he's becoming a lot bigger now. Is on our show, and there's a few New York comics that feels like they're going to be hitting. And oh gosh, that guy who was on a Netflix show, the mom's working mom show, whose name I can't remember it now, but he was just like randomly looking for a spot, and he was
Huh,
great, and everybody liked him. But he's been on a bunch of
nice.
stuff. So yeah, you can get some pretty, like, if you keep an eye out for headliners coming through, and somebody has an extra date, I feel like you can get some people in.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now so let's transition away from your self-described sad little bar show to you have a more successful show, I'm pretty sure. We talked about a little bit
Yeah.
backstage. Tell us about how did that start and what is
I have a
it?
The show is called Dating is a Dumpster Fire. And basically, it started just because I know how hard dating is in Denver, especially. People are always complaining about it. And I always think it's like such a ripe um, topic for comedy. Like, it's kind of cliched, but it is really ripe. And I thought like a variety kind of show where we do different segments besides just comedy, and we like get the audience's opinion about things and about bad dating experiences would be really fun. And it has been so much fun. But I had that idea for quite a while, and I was trying to figure out where it would go. Um, and there's a theater, the O, or like better known as the Oriental Theater. They call themselves the O now. Um, and I had a friend that I worked with when I was producing, and she knows the owner, and so she hooked me up, and it's been going really well in that space.
What night of the week is it?
It just depends. That's more of a quarterly show. Like, I'll
Gotcha.
run that 3 or 4 times a year,
Okay.
because that's a lot. I'm probably gonna look for some smaller venues too, to try to run it and build an email list as well. But
Do they do the ticketing when you do it at the O?
they
Yeah.
do. They do all that
Will
stuff.
they give you the email list or no?
No, that's
No,
their
that's a
email
bummer.
list.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, and they've got a
yeah.
really good email list.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah,
They help get butts and seats, but they don't really necessarily help you get butts and seats in the future.
yeah, it's the growth part of it that is bad
Yeah,
with
and so
that
so people who
model.
don't know, the O, like the capacity is what, 500, 300?
Yeah, it's almost
Big.
500.
It's huge.
And
It's a huge
mhm.
space. So it's very different than a brewery show. What's been your max attendance?
We had close to 300 once, which was
Wow.
really fun. Yeah, that was great. Um,
That's absurd. That's
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, it
Now,
was
what do
great.
you credit that to? Is it them? Is it the headliner? Is it you? Is it like why does that, how does that happen?
Oh gosh, that's what I'm trying to figure out, because that was our first show, and I don't know, I ran less money in ads for that show than I did in other shows. I put up posters everywhere, like, I had a couple comics who have really good social media followings on that show, and I don't know
Um,
if that moved the needle at
were
all.
they Denver comics?
Yeah, they're Denver
Okay.
comics.
Were they promoting? Did you notice or no? Because sometimes
I think
Denver
they were,
comic.
yeah. I I asked everyone to promote, but I think they were like, it was like in their link tree, these are the shows I'm gonna be
Yeah,
on. I don't think anybody did like a standard post or anything, but
right.
still, I don't know if that helped
What
move the
time of year
needle.
was it?
It was at the end of May, and I think that might have had something to do with it too, because it felt, or at the end of March, and I felt like
March. Okay.
people were like getting ready to go out, but it was still wasn't nice yet.
Yeah.
That helped.
Still
Yeah,
getting dark kind of early.
yeah. So it's a
Um,
hard one to tell
Yeah, that's
why.
crazy. What's the format of the show? Is it just a stand-up show, but it's themed towards dating, or is it different than that?
Yeah, we do. It's a stand-up show. There's like different stand-up in between, but basically we have a panel. I'm the host, and then I have 4 comics as a panel, and we do different dating themed topics that we talk about. Like, usually I'll have the audience tell us something about themselves, like it'll be like, what's the biggest red flag you ignored? They'll write it down ahead of time, and then during the show, that'll be one of our segments. And it's always like, I love when the audience tells us something because there's always such random stuff in there. It's hilarious. We also have like, I've done other segments where like, F, Mary, kill different celebrities, or like, or the comics themselves, or the comics will try to pick someone up with a one-liner, or we're looking at people's dating profiles. Like, usually I'll have some
Do you
guy.
have like a screen? Like, is there like
Yeah,
an audio visual component to
yeah,
this?
it's like a real theater show with a screen and all the stuff in the background.
Okay.
So
Would you have, you talked about maybe going to a smaller venue. Would you still do that?
yeah, I mean, yes, I would need the screen because it's kind of an essential part of the show. Like, if I
Right.
didn't do that, I would have to figure out something else, because we are
Yeah.
usually looking at dating profiles,
Yep.
or something along those lines. So I'd have to figure something out, cut that out. So that
Mm.
is like, I got lucky with this venue because it's exactly what I needed.
Right. Yeah. Did you have any, when you first started running it, were there any like tech issues where like things didn't work, or anything you've improved over time from
The O
different
is
tech?
pretty tech. They have their tech down a lot more than like, they're professional about the
Yeah.
tech thing. So the mics were all good. Like, I'm trying to think. I always come up with the background and the stuff, and I have a guy running my slides, but that's always worked out well. Um, yeah, technicality wise, they're very professional, so I'm not really worried about that aspect of things.
Nice. That's cool.
There's a lot in the mix though when you add all those elements to it,
Yeah, sure. And
Not
then you're
just,
booking comics and you're marketing to people. That's a lot of work you're
uh-huh.
dealing with. When's the next show?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm trying to get like in August. I'm
Okay.
hoping for a
Have you ever
show.
thought about pitching Wendy at Comedy Works on it? Has
I've
anybody talked to you about that?
considered it. Yeah, but they don't have, do they have a screen? I've never seen a show
Yeah,
there with the screen. Oh, they do.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm not sure about the South Club, but I bet they do. I know they have one downtown. Like if you go to the shows to a paid show, they run ads on the screen up until
Oh,
a few minutes before showtime.
yeah.
Just like posters of upcoming shows. And Thick Skin sometimes runs like a video intro leading
Mhm.
into the show. It's like a sizzle reel kind of thing. Um, and actually, I'm like 100% sure the South Club has one, because Thick Skin, they at one point were doing like a crowd camera to do
Mm.
the tattoo contest. They have like a worst tattoo thing, and then they were showing it on a screen. I'm
Oh, okay.
pretty
Okay.
sure
I
they
mean,
did that at the South Club.
it makes sense that they would.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get into the Bug Theater. I'm hoping that will be where my next show is.
Oh,
That's
well,
a
that's
nice
pretty.
little venue.
I mean, that's easy other than scheduling, and it's
Yeah,
not super expensive. It's a different model. You got to sell tickets yourself.
yeah. That's
Um,
what I'm looking for, that selling tickets myself, and then getting everybody's emails from that as
yeah.
well.
So let me. You don't have to answer this, but is that the main reason you wouldn't do your next show at the Oriental, just so you have more control over your customers, or what? Why would you leave the O?
I I love the O, and I want to keep doing shows there, but I would like to build up my email list, or what I have going on, before I go back there as well.
Got it.
Just so that I have these kind of dual things going on, so that I can start like getting more people in myself. So I'm trying to
Right.
figure out how to do that system. I know you had mentioned before maybe having people sign up at the, like do a QR code. Maybe I could give
Yeah.
them something.
Yeah, so like I don't know if we talked about this specifically, but I had a headliner, Liz Mealy, at a New York City come through, and she was very impressive with every show I did with her. She put a business card on every single seat before the show, and every show was sold out. I did 3 shows with her at different venues, and it like 45 minutes into her act, she would say something like, "Hey, when you guys sat down, there was a business card that has a QR code. If you scan the QR code and you sign up for the email list and you come show me in the merch line, I will give you this sticker for free." And like every night she was getting 20 to 50 emails. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
she is, and I can tell as a show producer, I know when people move tickets. She moved tickets. Like, she's
Mhm.
somebody I won't be able to afford in the future because she can
Mhm.
pack out a theater on her own. She has her own fan base. And so, like, producers aren't necessary when you can fill a theater on your own.
Yeah.
And the business cards are so cheap. You get like 1,000 business cards from Vistaprint for $50 or something like that, and that would be
Yeah.
two to three shows at the Oriental. Um, and you could just hand them out on the way in or whatever. You could do a giveaway, like have everybody fill out the email thing. I used to do that before the pandemic at a show where I would have everybody fill out a Google Doc form that was through a QR code that had like basic information, and the bar let me give away drinks. So like I was the host, and so before the show started, I'd be like, "All right, we're gonna pick a random person. Is Bill Smith here? Bill, you get a free beer." And then people would be like, "Wait, how do I get in on this?" I'm like, "Well, we'll do it again in 5 minutes. You got to go up to that QR code and fill out the form."
That's awesome.
Um,
I know. Doesn't it feel like part of being a comic is just like great marketing is going to get you ahead in a lot of ways rather than is
I
like it's a big part of your package.
it really is. I mean, ultimately, being successful at comedy is being funny, but it's also moving tickets. There are people who are hilarious who can't move tickets, and it almost you don't hear about them. They're
Mhm.
not they're not anybody, and then there's, locally there are people like Sam Talent who can now move tickets. He was on Joe Rogan. He has a best-selling book. He like is constantly putting out content. He has his own successful podcast. Like he has a fan base and he's been touring forever. So we can go to Milwaukee and sell 125 tickets or maybe even more, maybe 200 tickets. And
Mhm.
so he's both funny and marketable. And yeah, that's a killer combination. We got a question in from North Carolina. Does Lucha Libre and Laugh still run there? And do you have any issues with drawing if your shows are too close in date? Great question from the great state of North Carolina. Dana, take it away.
Yeah, Lucha Libre and Laughs is still there, and that show sells out. I'm jealous of them, but I think with the like a lot of times it's not. I don't know how they do it on the back end, but basically I'll contact them and be like, "Hey, can I get a show?" And they'll just tell me dates. And I know I'm not getting like the Friday or Saturday dates because those are like to the big ticket money people. So like I usually try to get like a Thursday if I can, and
Yeah.
a lot of sometimes I'll do Wednesday. They say that Wednesday is as good as Thursday, but I don't believe it. But so it's just really up to them. I think they're kind of deciding, and they haven't let me in on
Do,
the secret
do
about
you
whether
have to pay anything up front, or is it like a
you
door split? Without you don't have to say anything you don't want to say, but
you do. There is a production fee that you do have to pay out of like
okay.
after the tickets move. They take
Yeah,
that.
so if you don't sell any tickets, you're losing money.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You need to sell some tickets. Like,
Yeah.
if I
That's
sold like 20 tickets, I'd be in big, big trouble.
right.
But the production fee isn't as bad as I think it would be. And then they do take a split of the tickets, which is really not, I think that's a pretty like I feel like I'm getting a pretty good deal there. So there is a production fee and there is a ticket split, but it's still like if you can sell tickets, you're coming out, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Any competition locally or nationally in the dating comedy realm?
Oh, that's a good question. There are a few, like dating is such a hot topic. It's not shocking that there'd be other comedy shows like that. There's one here with three ladies. It's a smaller show for now where it's just like looking at people's dating profiles and they do stand up and stuff, but it's much more geared toward dating profiles, which that's only like a small part of my show. And then there's a lot of great shows here, but they're not in direct competition. Like
Right.
Dictopia sells out the O all the time, like every couple months. They're killing it. I'm so jealous. Um, and there's a few other ones, like some random ones came through where like you watch a couple on a date and comics comment on it. And I should be better informed, but I'll just see something. Or like there's one I saw randomly where a couple like they are trying to hook up people during the show. But I haven't been to that one. I haven't seen that one. So there are some
Well,
like,
that could be a fun way to get emails, by the way. Like if there was some component of the show where you bring some people onto stage, but the only way to get brought on a stage was to fill out this little Google Doc with your
mhm.
name, email, phone number, and
Oh,
you randomly choose, and your gender, and maybe like what gender you're attracted to, and then you pull some
mhm,
people up for a, dating game style, something or other, or blind date kind of thing. If you had a sponsor, a local bar or restaurant, you give them like a $50 coupon. You guys go on a date right after the show, and then people would want to sign up and give you your email, and it
yeah,
wouldn't feel like you were like, you'd be secretly collecting emails and people
yeah.
wouldn't even really notice.
I have thought about like, I think that's a great idea. Usually I'll have like a preset guy. He's usually a comic. I'm running out of hot comics though. Who we look at his dating profile and then like we pick women and they come up and it's kind of like a dating show. Like who's gonna date
Nice.
this guy? But I have done that and I would love to do like maybe during the intermission do like a quick speed dating round thing, where people could speed date. Right now I have a lot more ladies than men. Like this is really a lot of women are into the show. Like if you're a dude, you should come to the next one because it is fertile hunting ground is what I'm saying. But like I would love to figure out how to get more men in so that I can kind of create hookups. I would love if people like met at my show. Like if somebody got pregnant, it would be my dream come true randomly. I would love it. So I'm trying
That's
to
so
figure out how
funny.
to do that.
Fertile hunting grounds is what we're going to call this episode. Incredible. That's great. Have you thought about taking it on the road, or have you ever done it on the road?
I have thought about taking it on the road. Right now, I've only done it at the O. I would love to like hit up some other cities and see how it works there.
Yeah,
That's where my get up and go needs to get a little bit better. I'm just
sure.
like, so it is a stressful process for me, like selling tickets. I
I'm
don't
sure.
know.
Oh man, you don't have to tell me twice. I get it. All right, so we only got a couple more minutes. Any big goals coming up in the next couple years for you?
I would like to expand the show more, take it on the road, build up a bigger audience, like a more like Dictopia again. They have just a set audience where they really sell out like within the first couple days. And I love that concept. So I would love to grow my list and take it on the road and see what happens in the future there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of other marketing ideas for you. I wonder if there's some group you could get their email list somehow. Like, I don't know, like
Yeah,
young people playing like kickball leagues. If there's like a kickball league with 1,000 people in Denver and you like you pay them basically, and you
yeah.
say, look, we'll give you half off tickets for this one special event and we'll advertise your kickball league, something along those
Oh yeah,
lines.
that's a good idea. I do think there's some singles groups that I was like, oh, this singles group would probably be great to like come
Yeah,
here, do a special event with them. So I got
yeah,
a lot of big ideas, Mark, just not a lot of
yeah.
follow through.
Limited time, limited bandwidth. All right, well, how do people find you?
People can find me on Instagram. It's just my name at
Okay,
Dayna.
Dayna McTavish, McTavish. I guess I
Hmm.
should spell the first one too.
Yeah,
Dayna. Any
yeah.
road stories? Have you done like stand up on the road outside
I've
of
been
Colorado?
some. I've been to like Portland and Nashville
I'm
and
in Portland right now. I was in Pal's
oh,
Books today. I just
nice.
look at this. I bought a little tote bag.
Oh,
Pal City.
sweet.
It's all blurry and weird, but Pal City of Books. Had
Yeah,
a great time.
I love Portland. I feel like they're so like
Cool
it was
place.
nice there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the comedy was great. I had a great time.
What a small world. All right. Well, this was a terrific episode. I think people are really going to dig it. Thanks so much for your time, Dayna. Thank you, Mark, in North Carolina, for the question, and everybody else who tuned in. And stick around for a second, Dayna. We're going to say goodbye, though. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next.